the road that I'm on now will lead me right. Oh, but year to year it becomes a bit more clear. Seems like I'm getting closer to the light. And when my burden's great, so that I bend under the weight, and it feels like I'm surrounded by the night. Oh, well, I don't mind traveling along this darkened road if I'm traveling closer to the light. Every day I start with this compass in my heart, and it helps to keep the road within my sight. And as I go forth, looking for magnetic north, seems like I'm getting closer to the light. And when my burden's great, so that I bend under the weight, and it feels like I'm surrounded by the night. Oh, well, I don't mind traveling along this darkened road if I'm traveling closer to the light. And when my burden's great, so that I bend under the weight, and it seems like I'm surrounded by the night. Oh, well, I don't mind traveling along this darkened road if I'm traveling closer to the light.
Good morning again. So today we're going to talk about breaking the rules. And not so much the, not running speed light, red lights, or, not following the tax code, things like that. We're going to talk about the rules that really govern our lives. And those are your beliefs. Those are the things that you, maybe consciously or unconsciously, that rule your life and govern what you do. So we're going to talk about examining those and seeing if they really serve you or not. And then if you decide that they don't serve you, how to change those. So those of you that have known me for a while realize that I'm not the type of person who follows the herd. I tend to do things a little differently. If you've been here for some of my other talks, you know that they haven't all been conventional. And not that I'm not one of those people that just goes the exact opposite of the way of the herd, because sometimes the herd has some good ideas. I'm kind of on the fringe. So if the herd's a bunch of lemmings and they're going off the cliff, I want to be able to get out. But if they're doing something that I want to do, okay, I'll hang out. And I think that's a good way to be, and I think that typifies following the rules. And there's a lot of times that we end up following rules just because that's what everybody does, or that's what my parents did, and sometimes those rules don't serve us personally. There was this young couple, and they had just gotten married, and they were doing their first Easter dinner. So they're going to make this big pork roast, and everything's going to be great. So the wife's down in the kitchen, and the husband comes down, and she's in there, and she's got this hacksaw, and she's hacking off like 3 inches off the back of this pork roast. He's like, "What are you doing? And is that thing clean?" And he goes, "Well, my mom always hacked off the end of the pork roast before she made it, so I think it makes it taste better." He's like, "Huh?" He goes, "My mom never did that. Call your mom, ask her why she did that." So she calls her mom, and she goes, "Mom, why did you always hack off the end of the pork roast before you cooked it?" She goes, "Well, I don't know. Grandmom always did it, so I always did it." So they're like, "Okay, well, let's do a conference call." So we call Grandmom, and Grandmom gets on the phone, and I say, "Grandmom, I'm hacking off the end of the pork roast to cook it, and my husband thinks it's not the best thing to do, and he's laughing at me, and I just want to know why did you always do that?" And Grandmom starts laughing, and she goes, "Well, I lived in a little house. We had a little stove, and I had a little pan. The pork roast wouldn't fit." So it's important to know, if you're following these rules, why are you following the rules? And do they really serve you? So unity has 5 basic principles. And I forget which speaker that once taught us, the easiest way to remember those is 1, clap. Okay, so everybody do that. 1, clap. Okay, so 1, there is one God, and God is a loving God. So that's the 1. The C in clap is for the Christ. The Christ lives within each of us. Now, I kind of break these into 2 groups. So those 2 are things that we know there's not a whole lot we can do about it. The second 3, L is for life. So we create our life experiences through our way of thinking. So your beliefs create your life. The A is the power of affirmative prayer. And the P is that it's not enough to know these, you have to practice them. So that's the 1 clap. So the second 3 are things that you can actually do. And these rules are a little different than what a lot of us grew up with. I know there's some people that grew up in unity and have been around this for their whole lives, but many of us came to unity from other religions or other beliefs. And these weren't the things we learned. We learned that, sometimes you learn that you're not worthy, or that, if you did certain things, you were going to go to hell, and that, God was the judge and jury, and all these things. And what I found through unity and through other things is that I don't think that's the case. So it says in the Bible, whoever does not love does not know God, because God is love. Okay, so now we have a basic idea of what God is. So then in Corinthians it says, love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always preserves. Well, that doesn't sound like a judge and jury to me. But yet there's things out there. There's people that are more successful and that do better and that different things happen to than others. So, if God's not judge and jury, then how's all this stuff figuring itself out? And the answer is that it's our beliefs. So we don't have to wait for a jury, because when we do things, when we believe things, those results are automatic. When you're 5 and you do something wrong, your parents assign a consequence. Okay? When you get older, God's not like that. Life itself works out the consequences. So when we've switched from those old beliefs to new beliefs, sometimes we get new beliefs that aren't serving us either. if you look at the pool of spiritual people, most of them are not super wealthy. There's some exceptions to all the rules, but so there's sometimes some negativity associated with money. We think that because now we know more and we're more aware, we want to make sure that everything's right, that the stars are aligned so that we can move forward in the best possible way. And then sometimes we still end up with that us versus them mentality. And these are just some of those beliefs that sometimes we get along the way that aren't serving us. And there's a way that we can get rid of them. And we're going to talk about that in the meditation. So now I want you guys to all imagine something. So you're leaving your old beliefs and you're going to the spiritual car lot. Now your old beliefs are a 74 Ford Pinto. And it's all rusty and nasty and it's barely making it. So now you get to the new car lot and you can get as many cars as you want. And the only thing you have to do is you have to pay for it with your beliefs, and then you have to maintain it with your thoughts and actions. So you can upgrade your 74 Pinto. You can get a 1985 Chevy Corsica. Or you can move way up, you can get a 2001 Honda Accord. Or you can go to the new car section. And they've got new Hondas and new Chevys. And they've also got Porsches, and they've got Mercedes, and they've got Bentleys and Ferraris and Lamborghinis. You can even get a Rolls Royce that comes with a driver. You can get whatever car you want. And remember, but you have to pay for it with your beliefs and maintain it with your thoughts and your actions. So think about what car you're going to drive away in, because I'm going to ask you about that later. So we know that actions produce results. And as we have actions, as we do things, stuff happens. Now, in order for us to have that action, we have to have a thought. You can't do something without first thinking about it. And our thoughts are all come from our beliefs. So in reality, our beliefs produce our thoughts, which produce our actions, which produce the results. So the results that we have in our lives come from the beliefs. So it's what we believe that ends up with what we have and the way our life is. And one of the unity principles is the power of affirmative prayer. And that's what you use to change your beliefs, is that affirmative prayer. And even the third principle, that what we believe is what we live. So one of the easiest ways to get rid of those beliefs is to change them from statements to questions. I don't have enough money. How can I have enough money? I'm not able to do this. How can I be able to do this? This isn't going to work. I can't, whatever it is. Change it to a question. Ask yourself, what can I do to make that thing that I don't believe that I can have or that I can be or that I can do? And ask yourself, what can I do to make that a reality? Merriam-Webster said, "Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world." One of the beliefs that comes to us across many religions and spiritual practices is that, we're this drop in the ocean. You're not a drop. You're the ocean. God is infinite. God is in you. If you take infinity and you divide it in half, you get infinity. It's not like a pizza. So be willing to accept your greatness, and that comes from your beliefs. You have to believe that you can be great, that you can do all those amazing things. And changing those beliefs is the first step in making that happen. You can't just change your actions. Because if you're just trying to change your actions, your beliefs are going to creep back up and you're going to get back to that point. Change your beliefs, your actions will take care of themselves. One of the things that kind of brought on this talk was a couple weeks ago I was talking to Victor Darty after service. And he said that he really wanted to eat a big piece of chocolate cake or something, but was worried about how that would affect his health. And I thought, well, how do you think it's going to affect your health? That's just a belief. And I know you can sit there and you can say, well, science says that if you eat chocolate cake for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you'll be fat and unhealthy. But science is wrong all the time. I mean, scientists were the ones that said the world was flat, that the earth was the center of the universe. Scientists were the ones that said we could never fly, that we could never break the sound barrier. Scientists are the ones that still say bumblebees can't fly. Don't worry about the science. You are creating your universe. Your beliefs are more important than anything else. Scientists talk about theories. And they call them theories because they know that they can change. They know that there's other things at work in the world that maybe are beyond what they understand. In the 1800s, when scientists were figuring out gravity and coming up with all those formulas, they applied all those formulas to the planets. And what they found was that the planets were not in the right spots. So they were pretty sure that either the planets were all completely wrong, or there was something wrong with their theory. And it wasn't until almost 100 years later that somebody came up with a new theory that explained why the planets were where they were. Now that's great because we had the result. They just had to come up with the science to match it. That makes it a little easier. There's a lot of things that we're experiencing in our life that don't match the science. So don't worry about the science, just worry about your beliefs. Okay, so now I want to bring you back to that car analogy. And depending on what car you drove off the lot in, may be an indication of your limiting beliefs. If you didn't pick the brand new, really expensive one, ask yourself why. What was your reason? You don't have to worry about what your friends say because it's just your imagination. You don't have to worry about paying for it because I told you it's just your thoughts and your actions that are going to pay for it. Maybe the new Ferrari isn't practical. Well, you could have gotten more than one. So think about some of that and think about what is the limiting belief that's attached to that. Is there something there that's holding you back from something else? And then when you're thinking about your limiting beliefs, think about your actions. If you have road rage, what's the belief that causes that? Is it because you're always running late, so you're always in a hurry? Well, you can change that thought. Is it that you think that you don't have enough time to do all the things that you need to do? Again, that's a limiting belief. And whether you like the current one or not, the President of the United States has way more on his plate than we do. and still manages to get everything done. You know, Henry Ford built Ford Motor Company with the exact same amount of time every day that we have. You know, we have enough time to get everything done we need to do. It's not about changing your habits, it's about changing your beliefs. Your habits will take care of themselves afterwards. So when you're thinking about your beliefs and thinking about things that you might want to change, question everything. Anything you believe. Is this serving me? Where did this belief come from? Is it something that I believe because somebody else believes it and it made sense at the time? Did that belief that served you at this point in your life, maybe it's not serving you anymore? Do you believe it because some guru said this is what you should believe? I've always done it this way, so that must be the best way to do it. There's lots of different things that we believe that aren't necessarily serving us. And we can change them. So, many of you have probably heard of Byron Katie and the work, and this is kind of an adapted version of that. So what I want to do is we're going to settle into a little meditation, and I want you to think about one of your beliefs that you want to question, that maybe isn't serving you. And it doesn't have to be anything big, it can be something little. And you can spend some more time on your own thinking about this. The important part is through this process, you only get to work on one at a time. If we can focus, we're much more effective. So focus on one belief you want to change. And when you're thinking about that, ask yourself these questions. Is it true? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. And then the second question, can you be absolutely positive that it's true 100% of the time? You know, is it that capital T truth? You know, God is love. That's a capital T truth. If your belief's not serving you, it's probably not a capital T truth. And then if it's not true, what would you do differently? How would your life be different if you didn't believe that belief? How would your life be different if that belief was no longer true for you? And if you like that version better than you like what you have now, then it's okay to try and get rid of it. So I want you to take that belief, whatever one it is you have, and I want you to turn it into a positive affirmation. I don't have enough money. Change that to, all the money I need comes to me at the exact right time. Or abundance flows to me. However you want to do it, whatever sounds and feels good to you. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn the lights down. Thank you. And so I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to just repeat that positive affirmation for your belief. And if your mind wanders and you end up with thinking about something else, which it does, just gently nudge yourself back to that positive affirmation. All right, you can slowly bring your attention back to the room. And as you think about this positive affirmation and something you want to, a belief you want to change in your life, the next step is just to write it down. And write it 25 times. Just sit there and write it. It's amazing how the brain incorporates things that you write down. And do that for 3 weeks. And see if that belief goes away. And then work on another belief. Thank you.